We've been working with quadratic equations for a while now. This standard form should look familiar to you. We can use the a, b, and the c to go into the quadratic formula, but now we're going to use the a, the b to think about the vertex of the parabola. So for example, when you're given an equation that leads to the graph of a parabola, you're going to be able to use the equation to find out that, say in this case, the coordinates of the vertex were 2, 5. So that's the purpose of the video. How can we turn this into that? To do that, the star of the show is going to be this mysterious negative b over 2a, plug-in. That's what's going to help lead to the coordinates x, y of your parabola. A reminder about standard form, just like many other things we do, this is not going to work unless your equation is in standard form. So quick review, that equation right there is not in standard form because it's not arranged where everything is on one side, set equal to 0. So I could move the minus 2x to the other side and move the 20 to the other side to combine, and I would have standard form. Now my eyeballs could easily see the a is 3, the b is 2, and the c is negative 12. Another example of not standard form would be right there. That's in factored form. That would be very easy to find the roots of the equation, which would be 2 and 8. But if I wanted to turn that into standard form, I would do the multiplying, the double distribution, and I could turn that into standard form, and my eyeballs would easily see the a, the b, and the c. So in our first example, we're going to use this equation to determine the vertex. We're going to use this formula that you have to apply to that equation. This equation's in standard form, so I know my a, my b, and my c. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the a and the b and plug it into that part of the formula. That part of the formula is going to give us our x coordinate. So I say, okay, I'll find the x coordinate. I start with negative b over 2a. I look at my original situation and I see my b is a negative 10, so I have to say negative 10. And now my a is 1, so I plug in a 1, 2 times 1. So a negative 10 gives me a positive 10, and I do this division, and I find out by using this formula that the x coordinate of my vertex is 5. I now know my x coordinate, but I just don't know my y coordinate. But if I go back up to this formula, it says this negative b over 2a gets me my x coordinate. I've already done that. I have to plug in to get the y coordinate. Well, we've plugged in about 738 times here in Algebra 1. So to plug in, I go back to my original equation, and I copy it down. And since I already know the x is 5, I plug in a 5 for my x, 5 for my x, 5 for my x, and now beautiful Princess PEMDAS and I simply work out what this equals, which eventually is negative 9. So now I've found the y coordinate of negative 9. Earlier I found the x coordinate of 5. I put them together and I have the graph, or I have the vertex of my graph. That means if I took this equation and graphed it, maybe using the help of Uncle Desmos, I would see this is the vertex. We're going to work one more example. I highly suggest that you pause the video and you try to work this out on your own. If you try to work this problem out on your own and then compare it to the rest of the video, you'll find out how much you understand or what parts you don't understand. We want to find out what is the vertex, x, y, of this graph. Please pause the video and give it a shot, and then come on back. Here's my quick solution. I look at this thing and I say, it's already in standard form, so I know the a, the b, and the c. Now I need to plug the b and the a into that formula to get the x-coordinate. So negative b over 2a, negative, and the b was 20, over 2 times a. I work that out, and I find out that my x-coordinate is 5. So I know the x-coordinate, but I just don't know what the y-coordinate is going to be. But that says go ahead and plug in. So I take my original equation, and everywhere that I see an x, I plug in a 5 because I've already figured out that the y-coordinate is 5. Beautiful Princess PEMDAS and I go through the math over here, and eventually we come up with a 2, which means now I know a y-coordinate and an x-coordinate. I put them together, and I know the graph will have the vertex of the parabola at 5, 2. There it is. If I go back to the original equation, by the way, I see that it's a negative a, which means it's opening downward. So now I know my graph probably looks something like that. That's the show.